has been praying for the people of Israel, and I wanted to show you that he consciously emphasizes that he says they are Israelites. And the question is, why didn't he just call them the Jews, which his partners in Rome would have understood much better? Or if he wanted to use a biblical term, why wasn't he more close to reality and call them house of Jacob or Jacob's sons? Now, you might have thought last time that I was a little bit tough on the Jews, calling them Jacob or house of Jacob. There is another possibility. He could have called them the Hebrews. Now, if I take you into Hebrew language, we end up with the word or the root, avar, which means to pass over or to go beyond or to go on. You actually have the image. The Hebrew, by his very name, is somebody who is in progress. He is wandering. He is on the way from the land of bondage. If you think of Egypt, it's the land of the graves, the land of death, the land of bondage, the land of slavery, and he is on his way to the promised land, to the one land that God has promised to him and that God imagines, that God creates, and where he wants to make complete the people he has chosen. He is in the change of being Jacob, but he's in the change of becoming Israel. If we look again, and I would challenge you, take a concordance. Look up the word Hebrew. Where does it appear in the Bible? You will find that a Jew or an Israelite is called Hebrew if one of them is at least homeless, persecuted, oppressed, tributary, has to pay to somebody tribute. He's somehow unfree, or if it's two Israelites, one of them is enslaved by the other. So he talks about treating your Hebrew brother in a certain way. And you know, the interesting thing then is, if you think about the Hebrew being on the way towards the promised land, it in most cases goes through the desert, through wilderness and water. And there's some other interesting observation. Very often the number 40 somehow is on the horizon or appears, whether it's that the people of Israel are 40 years in the desert, or it's interesting that Yeshua, Jesus, goes for 40 days into the desert. And you know, if I have to kind of tractate you with the Hebrew language over and over again. The number 40 in Hebrew is the letter mem, and it's mayim, it's water. So what we have here, that the Hebrew is on his way, and God purifies and prepares him through judgment, and very often you have this image that he is going into the water and that there is a process of dying, or into the desert. Just think that the whole generation of the desert generation had to die. And then he is coming out of the water. And if you're a Christian, you're already right in thinking of baptism. That's exactly what is in the background. And you know what is interesting is that the Hebrew, and I'm now quoting, and that's not by accident, I'm quoting the letter in the New Testament, the letter to Hebrews. It's not the letter to the Jews, it's not the letter to the people of Israel, but it's the letter to Hebrews that emphasizes that these Hebrews are on their way and do not attain, it talks about Abraham in this case, what is promised, but only get to see it from afar. You know, if Paul had a choice how to call these people in whose place he wanted to be accursed and cut off from Christ. Those people whom he offered his whole existence, including his eternal well-being, for them in their place. Maybe he should have called them Hebrews, because that would have been close to reality. They come out of the land of bondage, of slavery. They very often grumble against the Lord God Almighty. And they need judgment. They need purification. They need the preparation for the promised land in the desert. But you know, the word Hebrews somehow contains this hope. It contains that, yes, they are on their way to the promised land. So if I were in Paul's place, I would have most probably taken the word Hebrews. I would have said, I pray for those who are the Hebrews. But Paul didn't do that. He called them Israelites.